He called it his conundrum castle, others a neo-Gothic baronial mansion. It is Abbotsford, the grand home Sir Walter Scott built for himself in the Scottish borders. It's where the author lived and worked and wrote the Waverley novels, including Ivanhoe, that made him and Scotland world famous. His influence on both sides of the border was profound and far-reaching. He personally orchestrated George IV's historic trip to Edinburgh in 1822, in which the king wore a tartan kilt, a form of national dress that Scott had helped popularise. Sir Walter Scott was fiercely proud of his native country, as can be seen from the coats of arms representing the families that defended the borders against the English. But he was also a fully signed-up member of the British establishment. Some say that in his heart he was a nationalist, but in his head a unionist. But that was the politics of around 200 years ago. I wonder, if he were alive today, what side he might take on next autumn's independence referendum.
The real key importance of Walter Scott, and indeed of his contemporary Robert Burns, is they lived at a time where they could envisage the effect of annihilation of Scottish history, and therefore the extinction of Scotland as an entity, as a nation, and from their different perspectives to do something about it. In terms of the modern age, it would have been certainly for a parliament, certainly for a monarchy. I'd like to think he might have moved towards a yes vote.
There is no doubt that Sir Walter Scott fought his country's corner. His home is full of objects he collected celebrating its past, from Mary Stuart's crucifix to Rob Roy's gun and dirk. But in the opinion of one of the country's current leading novelists, Scott would always have wished to remain part of the Union.
I mean, he referred to England as our sister and ally, and I think that's a consistent position, so that he would certainly deplore any Anglophobia in a referendum debate. I suspect he would be happy with further devolution, but he wouldn't like to see the United Kingdom broken up.
Scott was one of the great figures of the Romantic period. His vision of Scotland as a country of tartan-wearing warriors living in a sublime landscape prevails today, and is likely to continue, regardless of the outcome of next year's vote. Will Gompertz, BBC News, Abbotsford.
Walter Scott described Abbotsford House as his conundrum castle. He let his imagination run free when he was designing his home down here in the borders. But a decade ago, the house was still in family ownership. The building was crumbling and visitor numbers were dwindling. But now it's been renovated and refurbished. So let's have a look inside. This is the entrance hall. Walter Scott was an amazing collector throughout his life. There are suits of armour from the Battle of Waterloo, broadswords from Culloden up there. There's even a cast of the skull of Robert the Bruce. But of course, he's famous for being the world's first international bestseller, so arguably the most important room is this one, the study. This is his writing desk and his chair. This is where he wrote novels like Ivanhoe, Rob Roy and the Waverley novels. The Queen has officially opened Abbotsford, but earlier on today she was in Peebles to celebrate the life and work of another great Scottish literary figure. There was a literary theme to the Queen's visit to the borders today, but some were just happy for a glimpse, no matter how long the wait. She was here to visit a museum dedicated to another celebrated Scottish author, John Buchan, who wrote 39 Steps. Buchan was born in Perth, but fell in love with the borders at an early age. The people of Peebles are happy to celebrate this long association with a world-famous writer. There was some confusion when the Queen arrived at Abbotsford near Melrose. Where's she gone? She's here somewhere. There she is. Many commented on how happy the Queen seemed during her visit, cheerful and relaxed. Inside, she toured the famous library. It took years to catalogue the 9,000 volumes in here. Then she signed a visitor book, the first of tens of thousands of visitors expected here this summer. Now, Walter Scott has a huge international following, particularly in Russia, Italy, Canada and America. So it's hoped that all those visitors coming here will have a huge benefit, far beyond Melrose and the borders, right across Scotland.